Welcome back guys, and we're back again with another tutorial. This time we're going to be going over the scheduled tasks on your server. And all you got to do now is just head over to advanced and then head down to scheduled tasks. So quick explanation before I actually get into doing an example. Scheduled tasks, you can schedule anything from doing a backup, saving the world, TPing a player, you can say stuff to the server, and many more things. So let's get into that and check out what you can do. To get started, if you head over to the top left, you're going to see new task. As you can see, I've got one already, but we won't go into that now. So if we do a new task here, and then we come over and you've got the top bar. The name, of course, is the name of the task that you want to run. Then we've got status, that's either scheduled or paused. So if it's scheduled, it will keep running. If it's paused, it will pause it, but that means you don't have to delete it. Scheduled time is the date and time that you want it to run. However, you can also have it in intervals. If you do have it intervals, you don't really have to worry too much about this unless you want it to run at a certain time. And also on a side note, it usually does it on the server time, so not your time zone, but the time zone of the server. So as we head down to intervals, if you want it to happen every 1 minute, you can change it. You can change it to every 15 minutes, and then you can also change this to hours or days. So if I wanted it to run every 1 hour, I'll do that. If I wanted it to run every 24 hours, I'll just hit that selection. So we've got 24 hours. The same if we want to run it every 3 days, we might change that and we'll do it to 3 days. So the command is the command that you're going to want to run on this scheduled task. So if we click this, we can see we do have a large amount of options here. Admin say will say stuff to the whole server. You can create backup, date, give item to a player, message of the day. Of course, you can just check these out yourself. They're all pretty self-explanatory. Anything from saying the time on the server, you could teleport a certain player somewhere and restart it. Arguments will be what the actual text will say. Let's say if you're running a message of the day, you would write the message in the arguments here. Run for, you're going to have the choice of the server, everybody, or like the server owner. So this decides where it actually runs for. So if you're going to be doing a backup, let's say you'd run it on the server because the server has permissions to do everything. You wouldn't run it from a player because they might not have the permission to do a backup. So with that all explained, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to create a backup, and we're going to do it happening every 24 hours. But we're going to do it in steps. So we're going to do a step of stopping the server at a certain time. We're going to then do a backup. We're going to start a server, and just before all of this happens, we're also going to put a command on the actual server itself just to tell everybody and warn them that a backup's about to occur. So the first one we're going to do is actually tell people that the server is going to be backing up in a minute. So I've just called my morning, just so when I do go and check it on the scheduled commands, I know what I'm looking for. Of course, I'm going to keep this scheduled, and I'll probably keep the time at 3 in the morning because it's very unlikely that people will be playing then. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to schedule mine in 24-hour increments. So every 24 hours, it will do the same thing. So the command that I want to do here is the admin say, because it will tell everybody on the server. And then I'll just head down to here and actually choose, well, I've already typed it in, so you'll type in what you want to do. So I'll do server restarting in 5 minutes. And of course, I'm just going to leave run for, just to run for the server, so the server can do the command. With that, we're going to hit create. And if we head back to our scheduled tasks, you're going to see it's now been added to the list. It's been run every 1 day for the scheduled time at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's been rescheduled, and it's not been run before. Last run is when the last run was. So if I check this tomorrow, it will say last run 3 in the morning from that morning. So now we're going to run the second task, which is going to be actually stopping the server. So stop, I think, is an adequate name. We're then going to keep that scheduled, and it's going to run 6 minutes after the first command. So the first command was on the 14th of Jan 0300, and this one's 6 minutes after that. We're going to run that on an interval of 1 day, and we're going to come down to the commands. Now here, I'm just going to choose stop. You can also choose stop if empty. This is usually if you're running the command just without any other commands. You can just do a stop if empty every 24 hours, and it will only stop if the actual player base has left the server. However, for this instance, we're going to be doing a stop because we've already warned them. We don't really need to put an argument in here because we've already warned the players, and we're going to run it for the server. So we've hit saved, and we head back to our scheduled tasks, and we can now see next in line is stop, and this has got the date of 0306. So next on our list is actually to back up the server. So I've headed over to new task, and we're going to be typing backup for the name. We're going to keep that as scheduled, come down, and we're going to change this. So the last one was 0306 in the morning, and we're just going to give it a few minutes just to stop the server. So let's do 0308. So this is 2 minutes after the stop. and we're going to run it in an interval of 1 day again, of course, so it can match the other ones, and the command's going to be create backup. Again, we don't need any arguments for this, and we're going to run it on the server. So we hit save, head back to our scheduled tasks, and we're going to see it's now third in line with these. So we've got warning, then we're going to stop, then we're going to back up. Obviously, none of these have been run yet because this will be effective as of the next morning that's just coming up. And we're going to do the final one to actually start the server. So head over to new task again. We're going to call it start just to remind ourselves. Of course, we're going to keep it to scheduled with an interval of 1 day. And for this one, it really depends on your file because obviously the larger your file, the larger it's going to take. However, I'm probably going to leave it about 5 minutes just to create a good backup. So for that, I'm going to do it at, in fact, I'll leave it 6 minutes just to make a good backup, make sure nothing restarts whilst it's still backing up, although it usually is extremely fast, but for this particular one I've got quite a large file. So 0314 it will then start up again, of course in intervals of 1 day, and the command's going to be start, so this will just start your server. Of course you don't need any arguments for that, and you're going to run it for the server. Hit create, and then head back to your scheduled tasks. So now you've actually got your system to do your backup every 24 hours with a warning, and as you can see it will run for about 14 minutes in total. It will be 3 o'clock in the morning, the warning, then you stop, then you back up, then you start. Of course your server probably won't take quite as long as this, you can actually do this in quite quick. Backups usually only take about 30 seconds, but I just like to do it to be safe. So like I said earlier, you are able to pause the task if you don't want to actually delete it. By this you just come down to scheduled and you can just hit pause and then save. However, if you really don't like what you've done, you can also hit delete. Now I'll run through a very quick explanation of all of them before I end this video. Obviously none is none, admin say is what it will say to the whole server, create backup will create a backup of the server, date will give you the date, give item will give whatever player, or if maybe you specified all players to get an item at a certain time. Message of the day will of course run the message of the day or the MOTD on your server. OP server owner will OP whoever the server owner is on there. Player list will show you a list of the current players. Restart will restart the server. Restart will restart only if it's empty. So this is quite a good one to just put on sometimes because it just clears the system and stuff. It's good to restart every now and again. And of course we've got save world, which will save your world because on servers the actual server has to save the world rather than when the player exits. Save player list will announce the player list to all the players on the server. Start will start the server, stop will of course stop the server. Stop if empty, like we said earlier, will only stop if all the players have left the server. Summon player will bring a player somewhere that you've asked them to be summoned. Teleport other, I'm not going to lie, I'm not 100% sure, I'm pretty sure it's entity, so if you want to teleport an entity rather than a player, then we head down to teleport to, obviously where the place that you'd want them to teleport to, and then the time. For any more tutorials like this, don't forget to check the SeekaHost knowledge base and of course my channel. So thanks for watching guys, bye bye.